Hi, my kindergarten friends. Before we get started on our science lesson for today, I just want to tell you guys that I am so proud of you. I know that you're working really hard from home. I know that sometimes it's not always fun and you miss everyone, you miss school. We miss you all too, okay? But regardless, you're all still working so hard. I love the pictures and the videos that you're sending me of you completing your work, and I'm very, very proud of you, and you should be proud of yourself too, okay? So with that being said, let's move on to science. Today is day 2 of radishes, okay? If you didn't get to watch last week's video, we did a mystery with Doug, and I'm gonna review it in a second. Okay, and then at the end of the mystery, we ended up planting radishes. And I'll show you what radishes look like when they're full grown. Okay, so here's a package of radish seeds. If you look, there's a little opening at the bottom and you can see what they look like. I'll also show you guys a picture of the radish seeds that I used to plant before I planted them. Okay, and then this is what a radish looks like full grown. It's a vegetable. It grows underground just like a carrot does. It's really bright red, which is something that I want you to keep in mind, okay? And they have leaves that grow above ground, and you can kind of see a little bit what those leaves will look like. Okay, so in a second, there's going to be a picture, and it's a little white cap, and inside are the seeds. I want you guys to take a look at those. Okay, so that was for any of my friends who didn't see the mystery last week. Okay, we all got a chance to look at the radish seeds. And the whole reason why we even planted radish seeds was because Doug was trying to help us understand what plant needs are and why plants really do have those needs. Okay, so I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna share my screen with you guys. And I'm going to show you a question that Doug asked us. And some of us might remember, some of us might not. So we'll just take a look at it all together. So he was telling us a story about how there was a big tree in a field, and then there was a little tree. And then there was a storm, right? And the big tree fell over, and that little tree was able to grow. And he says, well, why did that little tree grow only after the big tree fell down? And here's the hint. Look at the ground before and after the big tree fell over. And it's outlined for us in yellow dots. Look at the ground. And if you guys remember what it is that he's outlining, you can go ahead and shout it out. For those of you who are seeing this activity for the first time, stop and think about it, right? What's different in this picture when the big tree is still standing that's happening in this picture when the big tree falls over? Right? And if you want to think about it a little bit longer or discuss it with someone, you can pause this video. If you think you know the answer, well, it's that the big tree was casting a giant shadow on that little tree, right? And then when the big tree fell over, there was no shadow. So that little tree was getting plenty of sunlight. And we know that sunlight is a plant need, right? So then Doug asked us this question. He said, can you think of a way to figure out if the sunlight helped the small tree grow? So is that the only reason why the small tree wasn't growing? Because it wasn't getting enough sunlight? Well, that's why we planted the radish seeds, to figure it all out. Okay? So what I'm going to do in a second, my little buddy, what I'm going to do in a second is I'm going to show you guys the radish seeds, how much they have grown over the past week. It's been about 6 days since the first video. Okay, before I show you them, I'm going to give you some time and I want you to think back to what they looked like at the end of that video, right? Ms. Millerick planted 3 seeds in a pot and she put them near the sunlight. And then she planted 3 seeds in a different pot and I wrapped it up in tin foil so that it wouldn't get any sunlight. I'm going to show you both of those pictures again right now. Okay, so something I forgot to mention, which you guys already know, but over these past 6 days, I was watering both radish pots every day. So they've gotten watered 6 times. Even the one in the tinfoil, I would take the tinfoil off, water it real quick, and then put the tinfoil back over it. Okay, so I'm about to show you what they look like. If you can think back, what was your prediction? What did you think was going to happen? And remember, it doesn't matter if our prediction is right or not right or way far off or spot on, right? We just make predictions to do our best. So what was your prediction? What did you think was going to happen to the one that was in the sunlight? And what did you think was going to happen to the one that was in the dark, the one that didn't get any sunlight? You could shout them out. You can remind yourself in your head, what did you think was going to happen? I know that the first time I did this activity, I thought that only the ones that were in the light would grow. That's what Miss Miller thought. I thought that the ones underneath the tinfoil were the seeds were just gonna stay under the dirt. But drum roll, it's really cool what ends up happening. So first I'm gonna show you guys the one that was in the light. And if you guessed that the one that was in the light was going to grow, you're right. And I'll show you a picture of it. It'll look better in the picture, but all 3 of those radish seeds grew. Okay. All right. Here's the really cool part. I'll tilt it down a little bit so you can see. So this is the one that was in the light. Look at what happens to the one that was in the dark. It poked through the aluminum foil to grow, to search for sunlight. I'll take the aluminum foil off. All 3 of them grew. Isn't that crazy? Now, I'm gonna give you guys a sneak peek and then I'm gonna take a picture because like I said, in the picture, it'll be much clearer what happened. But if you look at these side by side, they don't look the same, do they? They're definitely both radish seeds. They both have stems and a couple of little baby leaves coming off of them. The leaf broke off of this one. But there's something that's different. What's different about them? What about the color, right? Look at this one. It's bright green, actually a little dark green. The stems are green and they're even a little red at the top. Look at that one, a little reddish at the top. Do you see the same thing happening in the one that was in the darkness, the one that was not getting any sunlight? What color are those stems? It's so strange. They're white and the leaves are like yellow. What on earth do you think that means? Okay, so before you can move on to the next part of this lesson, I want you to pause, okay? And I want you to really think about that question I just asked. What does it mean that they came out different colors? We have some dark greens and some reds over here, and then we have yellow, light green, and the stems are white. So pause the video, think about why that's happening, what it means. Is one of them healthier than the other? And then you can press play on the video, okay? So once you've pressed play, I'm gonna show you guys a worksheet, a recording sheet, so that you can record what has happened to the radish seeds over the past 6 days. Okay, and then I am just gonna explain the worksheet to you, and then there is a little piece to the video that we're gonna watch, like an ending from Doug, and then you have some activities you get to work on, okay? All right, so I'm gonna share the screen with you again. And here is the worksheet that I am going to attach to your GFB learning document page, okay? If you have a printer at your house, that would be really cool. You could print it out. If not, no big deal. Just grab a white piece of paper, a plain piece of paper, and you could draw your observations on your own. But anyways, at the top, it says, draw a picture. You would put your name here with the dotted lines. You can even write the date, okay? And then there's 2 boxes. The first box says in sun with a sun there to help you. And then there's a pot, a blank pot. And then in the second box, it says in dark, and you have a blank pot. So what you'll do over here is you will draw a picture of your observation from the radish seeds that were in the light, in the sunlight. And then you are going to draw your observations from the picture I show you of the 3 radish seeds that had been in the dark, wrapped up in that tinfoil. Okay? And I want you to use realistic coloring. Do your best. Really draw exactly what you observe. Don't just draw a bunch of stems and leaves just to do it. If you are feeling like you want to, you can label your picture, label the words leaves, label the word stem, label the dirt. That would be great too, okay? But just try your best when you do this drawing after you're done with the video. Okay, and here's the last part of the mystery from Doug.
There are lots of interesting plants. Plants with colorful flowers, plants that grow food we eat, plants that we can find in the forest, plants that we can grow in our homes. And plants are living things. They're alive, just like animals. Now, they don't have legs, so you won't see them walking around. They don't have mouths or eat food the way we do. But they do grow and they move. They have needs, like they need water. And they have other needs too. When a big tree falls, a little tree can now get more sunlight. Do plants need sunlight to help them grow? We all just did an investigation to find out. Here's what happened in our investigation. We found out that the seeds in the light sprouted and grew. Now they're little baby plants, and each day they grow a little bit more. One day soon they'll be full grown. They're green, and they even have little leaves starting to grow. What about the seeds in the dark? Well, surprisingly, they grew too, actually. Here's what they looked like. Oh, look at them. Now, you might have been surprised to find out that the seeds in the dark did grow. They don't look too different from the ones in the light. They have little leaves too, and they grew just as tall as the seeds in the light. So, wow, does this mean that plants don't need sunlight? Well, let's look closely at them both side by side. Which of these 2 plants do you think is healthier? The one that grew in the light or the one that grew in the dark? Why do you think that?
So you can reshare your thought from this. Which plant do you think is healthier? The one that was in the light or in the dark? And then you can also try to discuss why you think that. And then press play.
If you've heard that plants need sunlight to grow, it might have surprised you that the seeds in the dark grew. What is going on here? Well, you could find out if you kept trying to grow the plants in the dark. If you want to do that and find out without me telling you what happens, you can stop this video. But if you want to find out now, I'll go ahead and show you. I'll wait a moment so that if you want to stop the video, you have time. Okay, you ready? I'll show you. This is a sped up video taken by scientists that shows what happened to some of the seeds that are left in the dark. So you can see, if we keep a plant in the dark for a few weeks, pretty soon it will begin to die. But what if we let the radish seeds keep growing in the sunlight? Well, this is what we get. You can see that these grew up to become healthy plants. So plants definitely need sunlight in order to grow. Sunlight and water are both needs that plants have. You might have noticed that the plants in the dark weren't turning green like the ones in the light were. That's a sign that they're not healthy. Almost all plants have some parts that are green, usually their leaves. In fact, next time you're walking around and looking at plants, that's a sign you can look for to guess if the plant is growing well. If you have any plants at home and you notice they start to lose their green color, it might mean they're not staying healthy. Maybe they're not getting enough water or not getting enough sunlight. Hey, that gives me an idea. What do you think will happen to the radish seeds that were growing in the dark if we now put them in the sunlight? Try this out when the video is over. Keep them watered and you'll find out what happens after they've been in the sun for a day. You can even draw a picture on a new worksheet to show what happened. If you like growing plants, I hope you'll become a plant keeper. There are so many interesting plants. Have fun and stay curious.
Thanks, Doug. We always stay curious, right? All right, boys and girls. So here's what's going to happen next. I am going to take a picture of the radish seeds, both of them. I labeled them for you, right? This one will say in sun, the other one says in dark. And I really want you to take your time drawing your observations, okay? Really pay attention to the colors, the details, the labels, okay? Then you can move on to a game. It's a game that we've already played before. I will send you a little picture of it in this video to kind of jog your memory. It's called What Do Plants Need? And remember, you go to the left side of the room for yes, you go to the right side of the room for no. Okay? I hope you have fun with all that work. Do your best. You can send me pictures, and I can't wait to see what you do. All right? Bye, guys.